Well, good evening, YouTube channel. It's Belmont speaking. And this video I'm going to casually call Project. So, everyone has noticed that I've been pumping out some more videos lately. And yeah, for, one of two reasons. Well, one, it gets extremely boring when you're living in a motel room and your only company is four walls, a TV, and, what little bit of internet. But on my way to meet my, I would call her my significant other, but her significance towards me seems to, I don't seem very significant to her as any sort of priority. And to be brief as to why, only one person has actually been privy to that information. That is my dear and pretty much only friend, Taku Mayhem Keys. But sure, I'm not pouring out my heart to anyone. I was exiled here by her so she could keep the house that was a gift to both of us all to herself, and to move in two habitual drug users, one of which was her immediate supervisor for Wendy's. The other was a homosexual, age 40, who was manipulating both parties to move in just because he could. I've been told today that he has since moved out, but when pointing out, saying, I was right, he did manipulate his way into the house to get moved in. She didn't want to comment because, she didn't want to admit that I was right about him and, of course, her boss. Her boss is 22 years old, and she is the assistant manager for the local Wendy's where we were both living. And was also letting her get free baggies of cannabis. When it comes to certain things such as marijuana, there's always going to be a catch because nothing like that is ever really free. Somewhere along the line, you're going to owe someone something. I will also say that neither she nor her supervisor, now technically her underboss living in our house, neither one of them have a medical green card for the state of Pennsylvania. And they have enough cannabis to easily get a criminal drug charge on them. But that's the short version. I didn't agree with having habitual drug users around. I don't trust them. I didn't trust her supervisor. I didn't trust the people she wanted to invite in even as a friend or guest. But because I also trust my instincts. And 90% of the time, they prove to be dead accurate. So on my way to meet her to receive what little provision she opted to bring with her, I asked for quite a bit. And I was brought my laptop, which apparently cannot get the Wi-Fi onto it now, not for my lack of trying, and I'm not a technical person, but it used to be fairly simple. But on my way over, walking in the rain, and up here it was about 40 with the wind chill, I found this piece of material. I'm gonna say it was maybe tough seatbelt material or perhaps truck strap material, but it oddly looks like some type of material that, say, Mad Bob's would use for his... I really don't know much about Mad Bob's other than everyone seems to endorse them, who's a major channel. But the material used for the case usually is blacks and blues and grays. But I found this and thought, hey, maybe instead of shuffling my sparrows into a Yee-Hong pleather case, maybe I could make something, nice for it. Not that the pics have feelings, but, it might look nice. Don't know how far it could extend, but maybe it might be nice to just have something with a little bit more tougher grit to it. Kind of a personal DIY project. I am not unfamiliar with doing hard work and hand stitching. I'm not ashamed to say that I have stitched back together clothing, pants, shirts, even socks. It is a helpful and unique survival skill that any person should really consider using. Whether you're living by yourself in an apartment or your own house, whether you're a man or woman. I personally learned to hand stitch from my father, a retired military soldier. And soldiers were often encouraged to make repairs to their uniforms while in the field, especially during times of war. Because you couldn't exactly go to your duty officer and say, hey, I tore this fatigue jacket open. Can you give me a replacement? And I'm not even going to go into anything like MASH, like the TV show or the movie, where you had a couple of Koreans just hanging around a camp who were so eager to make themselves indispensable and invaluable, and would say, oh yeah, I'll sew that up for you. I'll sew that up for you. Yes, a person has to try and be self-sufficient with their skills. So I'm calling this my new project for the end of January, start of February. It was quite dirty when I found it, and I tried to scrub it clean in the bathroom sink. I don't have a washer and dryer in a motel room, so I'm having to use nothing more than wash rag, hand soap, hand shampoo, and wash rags, and a heater. So I might give this a little bit more scrub-a-dub time, get at any more essential dirt, but I didn't see any more bleeding out after I scrubbed it down with a shampoo, but who knows. I don't know if it's going to be, a permanent little pouch or whatever, but the material is fairly thick, heavy grade. It did really look like it's something that came off a tie down on a pickup truck or semi. Hell, for all I know, it could have been a torn cutaway seat belt from a semi big rig that had to cut away its own belt. It did look a lot worse here and here at the top when I found it, so I used a small sewing scissors and a small pocket knife to cut and trim away the ragged or uglier portion, and just started soaping it up and trying to get it clean. I do plan to let it dry a little bit more. It doesn't feel moist, but if you're going to sew anything, it's always a good idea that the material be completely dry. You don't want to use a good quality needle and your thimble and then puncture through the material, and only to find out after it's completely dry and hardened that the stitching just goes right through the material and just it falls apart. I have been hand stitching since I was a teenager. It is in my adult years that I started to get fairly well practiced with it. Things like good denim jeans, Levi's. Hell, I've even repaired my significant other's clothing, even though she is quite content to just toss it away, even if it's got a small tear, and saying, "Oh, I'll just buy another one." In that regard, she and I are very different. I will wear an article of clothing till it's ready to tear or fall apart, and then I will try and repair it. Because one, I only have a certain budget to work with. I was also raised to not be wasteful. You don't throw away something that you could reuse or recycle. And even living in a motel, I don't take my surroundings or my material or my food for granted. My utensils, they are meager. A couple of spoons, butter knife, fork, and a paring knife. And since I don't have a chest of drawers to just put all the utensils in, I put them in an aluminum pork and beans can that's been cleaned. Well, I will keep producing videos. It will not be on a laptop since I can't get it to connect to any Wi-Fi because, well, I'm guessing the internal Wi-Fi router or whatever is inside it. I'm not a computer electronics geek. Is not functioning for some reason, but the laptop has never been dropped. It's just old, but thankfully for the moment it can play DVDs, so hey, that's a bonus. I've got close to 1,000 regular DVDs and then some Blu-rays that, well, really do need to be watched because I can't keep just channel surfing and falling asleep to shit that I really don't want to watch. I do hope there are some viewers out there who will take a look at the Spy Games video that I last posted. Give your comments on that as well. If you have not seen the show, that's okay. Hell, go on to YouTube and type in Spy Games Bravo. It will come up. You'll see the first episode. And you will also see for yourself the same things I talked about in the video. But we're coming up on 18 minutes and hey, I babble on and just talk. Love to hear from you in the comments. For those talking and listening, that's great. Great hearing from you. I'm not expecting anyone to shed any tears for my situation. I'm not even expecting empathy from my enemies. I am strong, I can endure, and I keep soldiering on. Alright. Hope you enjoyed. Keep watching.